Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, sitting in for David Pakman today. And if you happen to enjoy me here, you can catch me on the Ring of Fire YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Ring of Fire. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Farron Balanced. Of course, I'm all over all social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Farron Balanced. Now let's talk about COVID for a minute, right? Obviously, biggest story happening in the country right now, especially as we have children heading back to school within the next few weeks. Florida, where I am right now, 20% of nationwide COVID cases coming from this state. Our kids go back to school today. And we still don't have statewide mask mandates because our governor, Ron DeSantis, actually signed a ban on mask mandates. It was an executive order, to be perfectly honest. And the Republican-controlled legislature, by the way, a long time ago during the pandemic, actually gave him the authority to do that. Now, as I mentioned on this program on Friday, some counties have defied DeSantis' order. And so over the weekend, though, you had Republican Senator Bill Cassidy from the state of Louisiana actually come out on CNN's State of the Union and take a couple shots at Ron DeSantis for banning mask mandates for children in school. Here's what Cassidy said. "I'm a conservative. I think you govern best when you govern closest to the people being governed. And if a local community is having their ICU is full and the people at the local schools see that they've got to make sure they stay open because otherwise children miss out for another year of school, and they put in policy, then the local officials should be listened to." Now, he kind of didn't say that as clearly as possible, but he was asked about the mask mandates because we have one here in Florida. They got one in Texas, two of the worst states in the country with COVID. And that was his response. Like, you got to let the local officials make those decisions. Not every county here in the state of Florida is as bad as the one next to it. Now, it's bad all over the state, don't get me wrong. But this should be the decision, up to the local officials here. But DeSantis took away cities and counties' right to make that decision for themselves, and that is what Cassidy is actually taking a swipe at here. We've seen it happen in Arkansas. We're seeing it happen in Texas, where the actual authority is being stripped from local communities and instead given to one person at the top of that food chain. Florida, it's DeSantis. Arkansas, who now says he regrets it, is Hutchinson. Texas, it's Abbott. Meanwhile, Louisiana, who is also seeing a massive spike in COVID, they're going back to mask mandates. Okay, it's a red state, but they have enough good sense to say, listen, things are bad. And so we have to go back to this. If people aren't going to voluntarily protect themselves, we're going to have to put the law in place, the rule in place that says you have to protect yourself because it's not just you. It's literally everybody else around you. And that's when it changes from being about personal choice, as too many Republicans want to say, to a public policy health issue. And that is something that can be governed. That is something that can be legislated. If it is a public health concern, what you and your individual choices are, then yeah, that can be regulated. People love to use the example of drunk driving. And that really is a great example. If you want to sit on your couch and drink a handle of vodka and then just pass out for the night, that's your personal choice. Okay? And as long as you're of age, nobody can stop you from doing that. However, if you want to drink that same amount of alcohol, then get behind the wheel of a vehicle, then yeah, suddenly that's a public health concern, and we do have laws against that because at that point you put other people in danger. It's the same with not wearing masks. Maybe not to such an extreme extent, but we do have a virus that is still mutating, that is still spreading, that is highly transmissible. The Delta variant is much more likely to make children sick than, COVID original. And this is what we're dealing with right now. So while I may not agree with him on quite possibly anything else, I do applaud Senator Cassidy for taking the time and responding to the question correctly. He could have been a little more overt about it, but I'm not going to ding him for that. This should be a decision that's up to each individual school board after hearing from parents, after listening to medical professionals. Because we've seen far too many videos, by the way, of angry, deranged, anti-vaxxer parents saying, we don't need vaccines, we don't need masks. You can probably ignore those people. Maybe have the school board just meet with the doctors. Or maybe have them go visit the hospitals in states like Florida and Texas that are currently filling up. And then they should be the ones to make the decision on whether mask mandates go into place.
If you've been watching the show, you've probably heard me talk about how much I love my Helix mattress. Well, I was really excited to hear that Helix has launched a new company called Allform, which makes premium, customizable sofas and chairs with the same level of quality and comfort that I expect from these guys. And Allform is one of our sponsors today. They're giving you 20% off at allform.com/Pacman. They actually sent me a couch, which I put in my living room at home. It's now my favorite piece of furniture in the house. It took me just minutes to set it up. It's solidly built. It's huge. It's roomy. It has a modern, minimalist design, which I love, but it's also very comfortable. Fabric is soft, clearly very high quality. It has become the focal point of my living room. Their prices are very reasonable, and when you get a new sofa or chair, you get 100 days to decide if you want to keep it. And the best part is everything comes with a lifetime warranty. Stop buying poorly made furniture. Go to customize your own Allform sofa or chair right now and get 20% off your entire order when you get there by going to allform.com/Pacman. I've also put the link right underneath this video.